I rise today to speak in support of the Statutes Amendment Victim Impact Statements Bill 2024. I was very pleased to see this bill introduced by the government back in April, and for one reason in particular. Earlier this year, I became aware of a loophole in the Sentencing Act 2017, a loophole which I didn't think ought to have existed. It came about because of the mother of a fatal car collision was not afforded the opportunity for her victim impact statement to be submitted to the court or indeed read in court. Today, I am seeking to amend our laws to prevent this from occurring again, to ensure the rights of other families, like Jason's, are better protected. And can I say that I'm humbled to be speaking today on their behalf, and Madam Acting President, with your indulgence, I'd like to acknowledge their presence here today. Jason's mum, Jan, Jason's dad, Simon, Jason's younger brother, Wesley, and his partner, Danny, Jason's older sister, Jodie, and his aunt, Jo, and his longtime friend, and I'm told Jason's favourite guy, Bruce. An entire family who've made their way from the Riverland today to be here on the eve of Jason's birthday, to see our laws changed and hopefully spare other families their same pain and anguish. And it is my sincere hope to get some semblance of closure. We all know that nothing will bring Jason back, and none of us can ease their pain, but we can do our level best in this place to make sure our laws are better in memory of Jason and in the hope of preventing other families sharing their same fate. We can offer Jan and her family and Simon the opportunity to share this moment, and Jan in particular to share her victim impact statement, which we know is such an important part of healing for families. On 19th of February 2022 at 7:20 p.m. in the evening, then 27-year-old Rebecca Fronsco's vehicle collided with Jason Edwards' wheelchair on Brighton Road and ran him over. Sadly, tragically, Jason died. And for whatever reason, and I don't intend to flesh out the particular circumstances of what happened in any detail today, the defendant was found guilty of 1 count of driving without due care, and ultimately a fine was imposed of $350 plus victims of crime levies and prosecution costs, which meant in the eyes of the law, the defendant did not cause Jason's death. At sentencing in the Magistrates' Court at Christie's Beach in February this year, Jason's mum, Jan, was present and prepared with her victim impact statement in hand. She was denied the opportunity to read out that victim impact statement or have it read on her behalf. Magistrate Schultz's reasons were as follows, and I quote, "This is a difficult and sensitive matter. I acknowledge that the family of Mr. Jason Edwards has suffered an immeasurable loss and that it would assist them to read statements in court. However, the Sentencing Act prescribes the circumstances in which the court has a discretion to allow victim impact statements to either be submitted to the court or read in court by the victim or another person. I find that the discretion to allow that to occur does not arise because, as submitted by Defence Counsel, there is not a causative link between the injury and loss suffered by the victims and the offending that is before the court for determination. So while I appreciate it may be difficult for the family of Mr. Edwards to hear, it is my understanding, as I have said, that the discretion to allow victim impact statements to be read does not arise, and therefore the request by prosecution is declined." End of quote. Mr. President, the amendments that will be moved today will ensure that when a person has died, they have lost their lives or suffered an injury resulting in total incapacity as a result of any conduct occurring in connection with the commission of an offence, the court may allow a victim impact statement to be provided. Today, I am humbled to read out that statement on Jan's behalf, and I quote, "I, Jeanette Edwards, request that the prosecutor present this victim impact statement to the court on my behalf. I am aware that the defendant may be given a copy of this statement to read. I am making this statement to inform the court about how this crime has affected me, on how I wish I wasn't here today, but here I am. Saturday, 19th February 2022, at 10 p.m, with the doorbell ringing, the world stopped. A parent's nightmare began. All you hear is white noise. You've just been told your son was killed at 7:20 earlier that night. You drop to your knees and you hear your husband wailing, "No, no, no." It's also surreal. Jason Charles Edwards was the 7th person to lose his life on SA roads in 2022. He was born fighting for his life on 28th of August 1974, and we were unceremoniously informed that he may not live 3 days, as his spina bifida lesion was very large and very high on his spine. If he lives, he will never walk, live in a wheelchair, have many challenges to overcome, and be a burden to the family, that it would be better not to see him and bond with him. What terrible news to be told after just giving birth to your first son. None of that was on my agenda. He spent the next 3.5 months in the Children's Hospital, North Adelaide, undergoing treatment and 3 huge life-threatening operations, which he came through with flying colours, surprising everyone. He came home 2 weeks before Christmas and never looked back. He thrived with the love and care of his family and our wonderful friends. He grew up as normally as an able-bodied child. There were no can't-dos in this family, positive and upwards and onwards. It certainly was a huge challenge, many operations, life-threatening medical problems, but everyone was overcome with honesty, positiveness, courage, toughness and trust. He excelled at wheelchair sports in track and field, basketball and rugby until he was 19. He used to wheel 40 kilometres from a friend's house in the northern suburbs to home in Brighton after staying overnight on a few occasions in his 20s and 30s. His road awareness was second to none. He had a mantra: stupid car drivers are a danger to everyone. Now, I cannot believe one killed him. 2 nights before his death, he and a mate had wheeled to the service station the exact same way as he did hundreds of times, to buy milk, Coke and cigarettes. His mate mentioned he always gave way to cars with a wave and would say, "You're bigger than me, so you go." So what I say to you, Rebecca Fronsco, is that your careless inattention and awareness of our surroundings were very poor, and you needlessly ran over my precious son, crushing the life from him. And I relive these sickening last moments of pure hell, of his screaming pain in waves of anger and despair that explode, followed by helpless emptiness with tears running down my face that drop off my chin many times a week. He's gone, then reality appears again. Knowing you had no alcohol or drugs, weren't speeding or breaking the law, makes his death more senseless and cruel. Jason was tough, strong, positive, tenacious, stubborn, kind, thoughtful, caring, super friendly, and oh so loving. He loved everybody and they him. Loved going to the Blackwood Football Club where his dad was a life member. We lived on the Murray at Blanchetown for 18 years and were the publicans of the Blanchetown Hotel with his brother, now is the publican, and some of his ashes are scattered in the front of the hotel where he loved visiting family and friends. His nieces and nephews all went to Waikerie High School and played footy for Waikerie. Loved to chat over a cigarette and a beer on the deck. Loved hearing everyone's stories. Ending a phone call was extremely hard. He would just think of something more to talk back. He just simply loved life. He was on his way to have tea with mates at the SB on that fateful night, but most of all, he loved and adored his family. His sister Jodie, brother Wes, dad, nephews and nieces and extended family. His bond and never-ending love and warmth, for me, I miss the most. The pangs of separation, not seeing him, hearing him, wondering what he's up to, organising our next outing, planning his appointments, Hearing what he's planning is enormous. It's a huge empty hole in my life right now. We spoke nearly every day. I visited him every time I was in Adelaide. I had joy in my heart every time I drove up from our home on Highmarsh Island. Now there is nothing. The pain of his beloved V8 supercars back in Adelaide, Collingwood winning the GF, Pink, Foo Fighters, Guns N' Roses concerts. We went to everything together, the whole family. I know you never meant to kill him, Rebecca, but you did. And I can never forgive you for your inexcusable inattention and negligent capacity as a driver. I do feel compassion that you and your family have to live with this tragedy for the rest of your lives too, but you still have a life to live and enjoy with loving family and friends. My son doesn't, and nor do we. All I have are his last words on the phone call to me an hour before he decided to go out. He was just checking on me, as we had been to the funeral of his godmother, my long-time best friend from childhood the day before. He hadn't made his mind up whether to stay home and watch the cricket or see mates at the SB. I love you, Mum. I replied with a laugh, I know you do. He then said, and I love everything you do for me. I treasure those words so much. How I wish he had stayed home and watched the cricket. Our bond is now broken, and in the blink of an eye, he was gone. The sweet lady in the street around the corner from Brighton Road, he chatted to on his journey, blames herself. If she had kept him talking a minute longer, or let him go a minute sooner. End of quote. Signed, Jeanette Edwards. Mr. President, tomorrow would have been Jason's 50th birthday, the big one. And we are, as I said, joined by his mum and dad and family today. And I just hope that today does something to ease their pain, if only for a brief moment. Our laws can't prevent every tragedy. They can, however, offer some justice to victims and their loved ones, and victim impact statements are part of the process for that very reason. These amendments will ensure the process is available to parents like Jan and Simon. With those words, Mr. President, I wholeheartedly support this bill and thank Jason's family for their advocacy in Jason's honour. It never ceases to amaze me where loved ones find the strength to do what mums and dads like Jan and Simon and their families can do in the face of such unspeakable loss. And I hope members don't mind me saying this, but I think I speak for all of us when I extend my sincere condolences to all of you and thank you for righting a wrong in our laws today and sparing any other family the same injustice that they have, and doing so, I think, on the eve of Jason's birthday and in memory of his life is a special moment which I hope will ease as far as you can ease such unspeakable loss for a family. Thank you, Mr. President.